Hello and welcome back to the podcast that would definitely travel back in time to play, or sorry, I already fucked up. Travel back in time for your play not to be a disastrous failure like this intro is. Welcome back to the best part of your week. Welcome back to the Love, Death, and Movies podcast, Internet's #1 film breakdown and review podcast, the podcast that crunches watch lists week after week. Every month is a different genre. Every week is a different film in that genre. So follow us on everything, join along for the ride, and let's watch some movies. I haven't done this in a few weeks. I apologize.
It's tough, isn't it? Like the spotlight's on and it gets really fucking tough.
Now the pressure's off. But
Amen.
anyways, I'm one of your hosts, Ash, and with me, of course, each and every week is the one and only Harry. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm currently drinking a pineapple zero sugar Fanta. Have you ever tried these?
Definitely not.
Maybe it's just an Australian thing. I'm sure it's not.
No, I'm sure it's not. I don't really drink Fanta, but that sounds good.
Actually, because it's really hot at the moment in Australia. So I always stock my fridge up with zero sugar soft like sodies. And pineapple just sounded delicious. And it is delicious. So I'm going well.
Nice.
How are you?
I'm good. I don't have a sody, but I have some water. And my drink of choice if I'm going zero sugar is always a Coke Zero. So
Oh, that's strong. Yeah, that's a good staple. I'm a Pepsi Max guy in a can, but if it's like out of a can, I would probably go Diet Coke DCs.
nice.
Nothing wrong with a CZ. Nothing wrong with a CZ.
No. We support all sodies on this podcast.
You like that, Sadies?
You know what's funny about it? Sidebar. We're gonna get into the movie, don't worry. But sidebar, there's this clip that goes around the internet. I'm sure you've seen it. But it's all those shows that they have in America, like My 1,000-Pound Sister or
Yeah,
My
is it the I'm not drinking any water, but we're drinking all the sodies? Yeah, that's where I got it from. Yeah, that's where I got it from. Yeah.
We quote that in our house on a regular basis. So I love that it's from the same thing. So that's
just couple of juggernauts just drinking some sodies. That's all it is.
making its way around the globe. I love it. But yes, we are
hilarious.
continuing on with the month of time travel. Last week we did Back to the Future. This week we're doing Richard Curtis's About Time. But before we jump back in time, how was your week? Tell me, good, the bad, the in between.
I'm still off work, so I literally just the whole week I've just been. I've caught up on sleep. All I've been watching is kind of everything that we need to watch for the podcast. So we're doing Back to the Future. Of course, we recorded that. About Time. Watched Tenet because we're going to be recording an episode of Tenet with a very special guest again. If you are a fan of movie talk and there's a specific person that keeps talking about Tenet, odds are it's going to be that person, he or she, which I can't wait for. And then I'll also need to watch Pleasantville, which I haven't seen yet, so I'm keen for that. So yeah, every day this is literally kind of just been the same, which sounds like a bad thing, but it's not. I've been re-listening to all the Harry Potter's audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever listened to them, the audiobooks?
I have not. I've never done an audiobook in general.
Oh, wholeheartedly. If you're thinking about like reading Harry Potter's again, just to like get a blast from the past, they're narrated by Stephen Fry,
Okay.
and it's so goddamn good. So I'm re-listening to all of them at the moment. Every day is just excuse me, pineapple fan sodies. Every day is kind of the same. It's just like wake up, go to the gym, listen to Harry Potter, watch a movie, and I did. Sorry, I'm going all around in my head. I'm not sure if you guys do you have pub trivia in America?
Yeah, there's definitely like things like that for sure.
Yeah, so trivia nights like in a bar or something, right? That's like religious here. Like every pub has a specific trivia night. We won ours last night, which is really good. Dude, there was like a quarter of the entire questions were movie related. And I was just clutching up left, right, and center. Like there was one where it's like what movie has the tagline? Wait, let me look it up real quick.
He's already forgotten people.
But it's like the exact tagline. That's not it. That's definitely
They
not
gave
it.
you the tagline and you had to guess the movie?
Yeah, but it was okay. It's not coming up. Oh, here it is. What would you do if you were accused of murder you had not committed? And it wasn't coming to my mind. And then like my mate at the table was like, I think it's Memento. I'm like, that's a good one because it's like you hadn't committed. You hadn't committed yet, yeah, or something like that. So yeah, that's good. That's good. And then I was just like watching the quote, and I was like, accused. I'm like, he was never accused.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to find his wife. I'm like, I think it's Minority Report. And then it was like with like 2 seconds before questions ended, and we changed the Minority Report, won it that way. So we won by 1 point. We won it. We killed. How's your
Beautiful. To be honest, this last month was kind of shit for me. So I've just been trying to focus on the movies and hanging with my friends virtually, like you every week.
I make the
Yeah,
cut.
there's just not a lot of great things happening in my life right now, but that's okay. That is just sometimes how it goes. I need a vacation like you. You had the right idea taking 2 weeks off. I
It's
think
great.
I could benefit from that. But unfortunately, I don't have anything like that right now, considering I was off work for 2 months last year. But hopefully, I can take some time off this summer. That is my goal. But yeah, I mean, the week was okay. I did get to watch one Sundance film. I won't go into my rage fully, but Twinless, which I was super hyped about, Dylan O'Brien movie, got pulled the day that I was going to watch it because some irritating people decided to leak information on Twitter about the film. So Sundance
Really?
makers pulled it after I'd already paid for it.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, I was so upset. I was so excited to watch it. I work during the week, so it's like I can't watch it on Thursday at 10 a.m. I have to wait till, I have some time to set aside. So yeah, they pulled it and I'm super sad. I'm sure it'll get released, but didn't get to watch it. But I
And you
did
didn't
watch the
get your money back? I'm just reading your
yeah,
letterbox post. Oh, that's
yeah,
fucking criminal.
update. They sent you a voucher, but I emailed their customer service and they issued me a refund
Okay,
yesterday.
good. Because
So
that's like, I don't give a shit about a voucher for something I wasn't looking forward to.
exactly. So
Yeah.
if you purchase a ticket to Twinless and you're listening to this by chance, email them. Their customer service emails on their website, and they issued my refund right away.
Wow.
Um, but I did watch a movie called Bubble and Squeak, which was the other movie I had purchased. Very odd film. It stars Himesh Patel and Stephen Yeun's in it. Matt
Oh.
Berry's in it. Dave Franco's in it.
Oh, I'm so sold. I'm so sold.
It's a great cast. It's a great premise, and it has so much to love. The vibes are there. It's a weird ass fucking movie
Sounds like my vibe
about
though.
cabbages. That's all I'm gonna say. It is weird. It's like someone who's clearly inspired by Wes Anderson,
Hmm.
but the writing and the dialogue is super awkward. And then they use like this fisheye lens the entire movie, which just did not work for me personally. But I can see some people loving it. But the aesthetic is there. It's a really solid directorial debut. So I hope that people get to see it. It's definitely worth watching just for like the aesthetic alone.
I'm a big
Uh,
fan of Himish Patel.
yeah, I thought the cast was really good. They were doing their best. It was just kind of one of those movies where what was given, they can only do so much. You know what I mean?
You'll find out he's because you've never seen Tenant, but he's in Tenant.
Oh, is
Himish
he?
Patel,
Okay.
but he's great in that. Everyone
Yeah,
in Tenant's fucking great. Oh, I
I
can't wait
think
for our Tenant episode.
the cast is great. I'm excited to watch it. But I know him from Yesterday
Yeah,
and then Don't Look Up.
yeah.
So
I think yesterday was like his big break.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
good
Anyway,
movie.
so that
Good
was
movie.
pretty much the highlight of my week. So let's get into it. So we're talking about Time, released on May 15th, 2013, with just an incredible cast: Rachel McAdams, Donald Gleason. Is it Bill Nighy? I'm not sure how to pronounce his last
That's right.
name.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Tom Hollander, Vanessa Kirby, and even Margot Robbie's
Yeah.
film debut. Can you believe it? Crazy to think she made this movie a year before The Wolf of Wall Street and her entire life changed.
Wow. She's
Uh,
great in this as well.
she is. She's great in everything. But yeah, it is kind of weird to see her like so little. But yeah, the budget was 12 million. It grossed over just over 87 million. So it did actually do really well. It was actually the last movie, I don't know if you knew this, that Richard Griffiths appeared in before he sadly passed away just a few months before its release. This is the guy who plays the lead in Harry's play in the movie. Also,
Oh,
Potter
Vernon
plays.
Dursley.
Yeah, so this was the last film he ever did, and he did not get to see it release. So rest in peace to him. But I thought that was kind of special that he got to be a part of a movie like this as his last film.
Big time.
So the story goes as follows. At the age of 21, Tim discovers he can travel in time and change what happens and has happened in his own life. His decision to make his world a better place by getting a girlfriend turns out to not be as easy as you might think. It's an interesting description of the film because it makes it seem so like very like not deep when you read
Yeah,
that
it sounds
premise, but
very basic as shit.
which to be fair, the first chunk of the movie kind of is that. But
But
then it
it's like a
really
beautifully told basic love story. Yeah.
yes, but it really develops into something a lot more, which I think is really amazing. So, anyways, before we jump into it, give me your thoughts on this film. Apparently, you've seen it like 15 times. I've only seen it twice, so I would love to know your history with it. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I saw this. It was one of those movies. I saw this at the cinema. I had no idea what it was about.
Mhm.
That I think I was on a date or something.
It is about time, in case you didn't. Sorry. Sorry.
She's on. She's on. All right. Yeah, like yeah, I think I was on a date. I don't think it went too well, obviously. But the movie like was spectacular. Like, it's something that you like if you start watching it not knowing anything, it's not going to go anywhere that you think it is. I'm a
Mhm.
big sci-fi nerd. I think I was thinking about it this the other day of like what my favorite genre is, and I do think it's low level sci-fi. And this is like such a good, intricate little inclusion of a sci-fi concept of like being able to time travel to moments of your own life and stuff like that. I think it's awesome. The This film's impeccable to me. I agree. The first half is a lot more basic than the second half, but I think it's made that way so that it eases you in before it gets to the super heavy shit, and really like allows you to connect with this simple, loving family. And I think it's just done so well. I think that every person in this film is immaculate in terms of casting and performance. I love Bill Nighy. I think Bill Nighy is up there, like top 10 favorite actors of all time for me.
Mhm.
I think he's fucking awesome. And like, this whole film encompasses for me that one scene of like, they obviously, well, spoilers for the film, obviously, if you're watching here, where they find out that Bill Nighy is dying. And they get to the family house, and the mother opens the door and goes, "I'm furious. I've refused to even think of a life without your father." And I was like, that's this film as a whole. It's just like furious because of life. And I think that's really goddamn good. I love the chemistry between Rachel McAdams and Donald Gleason. I think it's up there with like one of my favorite chemistries of any couple ever.
Mhm.
I think it rivals the Before trilogy, to be honest. But this is up there with one of my favorite romance films of all time.
Wow.
Big
Wow.
time. I love it. What
Big
about you?
statement. I love it. Yeah, no, I actually have only seen this twice now. So I saw it when it came out, and I had not tackled it since. This is actually like a rare occurrence where I actually saw this movie in theaters when it came out, and I just never revisited it. There wasn't a specific reason. I just never really found myself going back to it. But I always loved it and remembered good things about it. And this was my second time watching through, and I just completely emotionally wrecked me. I agree on the chemistry. I agree on Bill Nighy. I think that which is funny. He's my favorite part of Love Actually. He's the only storyline I even care about in Love Actually. And he's not even in it for that long. But it's just funny. He is just that great that I think even a movie like that I don't really love can be better because he's in it. Is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that he is really the heart and soul of this movie. But I think the way that Donald Gleason plays Tim, I'll get into this later. I have a lot of issues with what he's doing as far as the ethical kind of decision behind it.
Hmm.
But he's so damn lovable in the way he plays his character that it's like even though I know that what he's doing at times it probably isn't ethically correct, you still are like rooting for him because
There's
he
no
has
malice reasons. There's no malice behind it.
no, it's all genuine intention. But yeah, I think that he just plays such like this awkward, lovable character so well. The whole family, like you said, is lovable. The score in this movie and the songs that they
Oh,
choose to play during certain moments are so good. The difference between the voiceover and the regular dialogue, it flows so beautifully between those things. And I just love the aspect of like all you have to do is go into a dark space and clench your fist and you're there. Like it's just like
it's
very
simple. They don't
simple.
over explain it. I love it.
Yes, which most time travel movies, it's all about the sci-fi. It's all about the time travel. And this movie is about time travel, but there's so much focus on the romance aspect, and that's not a very normal thing that you get in time travel movies. So I think this one's kind of unique in that way, which I think is really special. So I agree. I think it's just absolutely brilliant. Not a perfect film for me, but it is definitely one that I will definitely keep going back to and that I just absolutely adore. So I'm excited to get into it. Shall we just jump right in?
Let's do it. Just before we do it, I just want to add to what you said that I love the how they don't explain it. They just like use the time travel element, just like little moments to like accentuate the emotions in a scene. Like when after he on his wedding day and Bill Nye says the his speech, and then after he goes, "I should have said I love you." He goes,
Mhm.
"I'll be right back." He goes, "Dad, you don't have to." He goes, "I will do what I want." And he goes and does the speech again, and it's like there's only three men I've loved in my life, and it's just like little things
Yeah.
like that. They don't over explain it. They don't focus on the time travel thing. They more focus on how the idea of happiness. because I won't go through the idea of happiness that's in this film, but it's fucking spectacular. Of like how the idea of living a happier life, the secret to living a happy life that Bill Nye teaches him. I think it's so goddamn good. I'm sure you have it.
I
So
do.
we'll get to it when we get to it. But
I got, yeah.
that idea is why I love this film.
Yep. Okay, well, let's just jump in. So we open to meeting the unique yet lovable Lake family. Was really hard to find their last name. It is like not listed anywhere, but they are the Lake family. You have Tim, his carefree sister, who he just absolutely adores. She's nicknamed Kit Kat, so we're going to call her Kit Kat.
She's great.
Yeah, she is great. With who he has a strong bond with and a love of playing table tennis with, and his mother, who definitely does not take shit from anyone, and she marches to the beat of her own drum. And finally, sweet, forgetful Uncle Desmond. They are a strong family unit and even have outdoor film nights together, no matter the weather. I love that little scene. It's so perfect for a cinephile.
All of them with the umbrellas, and then Kit
Yeah.
Kat's like wah into the rain. I love
So
it.
great. So the family has a New Year's Eve party where everything begins to change. Tim struggles with women at the party, even fumbling to kiss someone he's interested in at midnight, while his sister spends time with the wrong guy, Jimmy, who ends up really messing up her life in the long run. We will definitely be coming back to that. During a conversation with his father on his 21st birthday, Tim learns that the men in his family are able to travel back in time, allowing them to revisit or change past events, but only to places they have been before in their own timeline. His dad obviously says you can't go back and kill Hitler, as an example. So you can only go to places you've been in your lifetime, which I think is a really interesting element to this as well.
Big time.
Tim is in disbelief, but after realizing his father is serious, he attempts to time travel, finding himself back at the New Year's Eve party, only this time he doesn't fumble and he has his midnight kiss. When Tim realizes that the time travel actually works and can give him a better shot with women, he confirms for him this was always going to be about love. Charlotte enters, a friend of Kit Kat's who's arriving to stay with the family for the summer, played by Margot Robbie. And she stirs up some emotions for Tim. Uses the time travel ability to fix his mess ups with her. Like, first he gets sunscreen all over her back, goes back, and then he does it perfectly the second time. And he kind of uses as a way to flirt with her throughout the summer. Really, what Tim does is use this as a way to fumble on the first try and then get it right on the second try. It's almost kind of like the idea of skipping to the second date because the first date's so awkward that if you could just get past the first date and go to the second one, you'd do better. You know what I mean? It's like that. By the end of the summer, he talks to Charlotte about, on her last night, where he expresses his feelings, and she says maybe he would have said something sooner. So what does Tim do? He goes back in time to tell her his feelings sooner, only for her to say, let's actually wait until the last night and see how
It's so good.
It's so perfect. It kind of is one of those things where it's like, no matter what you do, some things are just going to end up the same way, no matter what. You could change one little thing and the outcome is still the same. So this is kind of a confusing thing for him. Obviously, he really is wanting to make this work. He's so desperate for love. I don't think he loves Charlotte. I think he's infatuated with her, but he doesn't really know the difference at this point in time. So anyways, he starts to think that this love thing is not going to be so simple. Charlotte leaves without them pursuing anything, and Tim decides to journey off to start his life in the city in London to work in law. And he's going to be staying with an old peer of his dad's, Harry, who is a crude, grumpy old guy who is attempting to finish his play.
Good name.
Is that where you're headed?
Yeah. Good guy.
Right.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's got some issues, but all in all,
Don't we
he's
all? Don't we all?
solid guy. But I'll stop there. Kind of a shorter section, but this is sort of like the intro to the film, and obviously him learning about this ability. So anything else to add here?
I love just like how because when his dad tells him the whole spiel, and I love how there's like little barriers of it. Like it's just simple rules of like only do your own life, but you only can go until the birth of the last of your son or your child, because that would alter their child. I think that's really cool. But yeah, he's just like, I want this for love, and Bill Nye is just like, whoa, electric. Like something like that. He says something like that, which is good fun. But the whole thing with it's Charlotte, right? Margot Robbie, Charlotte, yeah. Whole thing with Charlotte, She like rings him around the rosy. It is what it is. But at the end, it's just like sometimes even traveling through time can't make a person love you. And you're like, good. Now he's learned that, and then he can like, it's like little it's like a rolling boulder. I just love this family. This family's adorable. There's not a negative person in it. It's like there's like sure the mum has like is a bit of like a bit of a stone, but with a heart of gold.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell that like they just everyone just loves each other, and you can see like through his childhood how like every night doesn't matter what the weather is, we always go have tea on the beach and stuff like that. I think it's just adorable.
I agree. I don't think that you find that a lot. Like, I mean, I think a lot of us have people in our family that we love and that we're close to, but I don't think you get this type of dynamic all the time, especially with adult children. Like, these are two parents with two adult children. They're
Mm,
young, but they're not like kids. They're full, like, they're like what, 18 and 21.
yeah,
So the fact that they like want to spend time with their parents too, that's a big deal. It's like it's a choice you're making, right? It's not just because you're a kid and you have to. So I love that there's like a genuine joy to be around each other, and even including Uncle Desmond, who can't quite figure him out. He's kind of always on his own wavelength, and they all have their own quirks, which I feel like is really relatable for a lot of people. But I love his relationship with his dad. I think you can just tell from this first chunk of the movie how close they are. And you don't get a lot of films where you have a really strong, genuine father-son relationship done really well. I
yeah,
don't I don't feel like I can think of that many, and this one definitely stands out to me.
for sure.
Nice. All
Agree.
right. Well, on a night out with his buddy Jay, they go to a restaurant where they eat in the dark and you cannot see anything. I don't quite know if this is a situation where like they're going with the intention of being set up on a blind date or if they just happen to sit near these two.
Yeah.
But either way, they end up sitting next to Mary and her friend, who they keep referring to her as just like a prostitute.
Yes, that's Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Dude, the cast of this film is fucking nuts. You're watching it like that's Sue Storm. Like that's so
So
crazy.
insane. When I read the name, I was like, oh my God, that's why she looks so familiar. I wasn't even putting two and two
Yeah,
together until after. But they sit at the table, and I love this scene, the way it's done for the film. It's like just black, but you can basically see like a little bit of light on the table, and they just keep going through the time code of like they've basically been here for hours.
yeah,
But this is important, I think, for the kind of people Tim and Mary are, because they sit at this table, they meet these two young women, Tim and Mary connect over hours of conversation without the fear of the lights on and the pressure on. They both are doing a great job, but like specifically Tim is doing a great job connecting with her
yeah.
because he doesn't have that fear of like being himself. They end up meeting the girls outside. Obviously Jay goes off with a friend, and then Tim and Mary meet outside, and she immediately gives off the vibe that she is so insecure, which she even says later down in the movie. You can just tell she's unsure of herself and the way she like presents her body language. But he's just smitten with her, and she agrees to give him her phone number. So that's their initial meeting. Once home, he learns that Harry's opening night of his play was awful, and the actor forgot their lines completely, and it was just dead silent. So Tim uses his ability to help his roommate by reminding the lead actor to study his lines. And I love this little scene though, where we get like this grumpy old actor, and he's just like, "Leave me alone." And then he gets his book out and he goes, "Well, like maybe I do need to study these lines." I love the mannerism there. It's perfect. Um, and so Tim actually stays to watch the play to make sure it goes well. And another actor completely forgets his lines. So it's almost kind of like the same repetitive thing we're seeing, where Tim thinks that this simple thing he's going to do is going to fix everything, and it doesn't. He eventually saves the day with cue cards, and
Do
the
you,
play is a hit.
do you know who the other actor is?
The one who also forgets his lines
Yeah,
looks super familiar, but I never looked him
it's
up.
Richard E. Grant. He's the dad in Saltburn.
Yes.
He's in Logan. He's in Bram Stoker's Dracula,
Yep.
Corpse Bride. Like I love him.
Coming back to me now.
So when like I see him, I was like, oh, it's Richard E. Grant. like what rewatching
Okay.
this, like I keep forgetting the cast of this film. It's fucking nuts. Like
It kind of is. It really is. And that's so funny because I didn't even look like that far down, but I knew his voice was
yeah,
familiar.
you see his eyes always like they're like really
Hmm.
menacing. Like,
Yeah, so this hilarious scene of like him finishing the play and making like a big spectacle after Tim is literally standing there with cue cards with the lines on it. What a nice guy to try to help his roommate this much, because this ends up really affecting his life because he misses out on meeting Mary now.
yep.
Her number is not in his phone. He goes to the restaurant. They've already long left. So, and he never went. So he never meets her. So that is the first kind of lesson that he really has to learn is like, okay, now, yeah, your consequences are going to have, or your consequences, your actions are going to have consequences. But he does remember the fact that she is obsessed with Kate Moss, such a like random little thing about her. So he decides to spend his days waiting in front of a Kate Moss exhibit at a museum until he finds her. Not sure how many days this takes. I assume it is weeks until she finally shows up and he attempts to talk to her, but of course she doesn't remember him. And she finds it quite weird that some random stranger is
As
trying to talk to
as you
her.
should as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. He sadly learns that she has a boyfriend now, but they had just met a week ago. He gets all the details of the party, every single little last detail so that he can go back to that night and stop that from happening. And instead inserts himself into the situation and they end up going out to dinner. He basically uses her love of Kate Moss to win her over. See, this is my whole issue with this, Harry. And this is like
okay.
Adam and I kept having like this ethical dilemma conversation, which I think it's an important thing to talk about watching this movie because I think for me, it's like the issue of consent here. It's like she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know that he's using information that he's already gathered to win her over. It's like even though he knows they probably would have gone on a date anyways because of the original meeting, right? He's trying to get back to that point. So he's using information that he knows will just make her kind of like trust him faster or like him faster. But it's
My
not with like bad intention. It's just it is kind of an ethical dilemma, I personally
No,
feel
I get what
like.
you're saying, but he's already won her over with it. Like so that's kind of like it's. I see what you're saying. I would probably agree with you, but being like devil's advocate, they'd already won each other over. They just forgot about it. So,
Well, I guess to me, the fact that and I have personally have an issue with the fact that she never knows the
yeah,
entire that her whole life went the way it went because like he chose to not meet her to help his friend in his play. And I feel like if she knew that, she'd be quite frustrated. But at the end of the day, maybe they were meant to be. And maybe this just I don't know. That's where I'm saying it's like the end goal is kind of the same. So
mm.
it works out. But I do think that it's at least worth noting that at least for me, I
No, that makes
feel
sense.
I think if you're using information that that person's not aware that you know to try to get close to them and you're stopping her from having this boyfriend that she has now for your own self-interest it's a little problematic. I think that Tim learns his lesson but I do think it's a little bit problematic.
The boyfriend sucks though.
That's not the point.
The
That's the thing is we
boyfriend
know
sucks, Ash. He sucks.
we
Get him
he
out of
does
here. Get him out of here.
we know that Mary is going to be happy with Tim. That's the thing is we know the
Yeah.
end goal is good. So that's why Adam and I were almost like, would you do this? Like if you knew that it was going to have the same result and like we'd end up together, would you? I don't know. It's kind of tricky, but I think it's worth at least asking yourself the question if it's, if it's bothersome or not. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. I'd love to hear what people think about it.
Would
So
Adam do it?
yeah, but yes, and so would I. But it's different because we met on normal circumstances. So to say it now, it's different than their situation.
But they also met on normal circumstances, though.
Right. I think it's only because it happened on their first meeting.
Yeah.
They didn't have like a month of dating and then this happened kind of thing. So I think that's where it gets a little bit tricky. He doesn't really know her, but
Yeah.
he gets very infatuated very quickly.
Yeah.
But Tim is kind of he's young. He's only 21, so it's like you are going to kind of, fall
Mm.
fast when you're young. It's just one of those things. So I think it makes sense, but I just thought that I would bring it up because I think
That's very interesting. He doesn't look like
it's
she's 21 at all.
no, no, she does. Rachel McAdams has always been mother and she just always will be.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so back to the Kate Moss exhibit. Or sorry, back to the conversation about Kate Moss. They go out to dinner. They end up having a great time. Like I said, I had a little bit of an ethical dilemma, but as much as that kind of was on my mind, they're so wholesome
Yeah,
together and
they
their
are.
chemistry is so good that it's kind of impossible to not want to root for them, right? So it's I still adore them even when I was having those questions in my head.
What I love about it is that he's not trying to take advantage of her at all. Like
No,
he's very much
no,
like in it for love.
he is. Although I do think it's interesting they do sleep together on the first like that first night. So
He does it
One could
multiple
argue
times.
that. One could argue that, but I don't think that he had bad intentions at all. I
Yeah,
think that's very normal for two grown adults to have that happen on, a first date or whatever. So it's not that crazy.
not till
Uh,
marriage. I'm joking. I'm joking.
so they share their first night together. It is, yeah, like you said, multiple nights together. And then we flash to a series of scenes, which I think is a really cool way to transition through their relationship, is like all these subway stations transitions where they're going to like a Halloween costume party and then they're moving in together. They're going here, going there, hanging out with family. So it's kind of a cool little way to showcase, years going by of their relationship building up without taking all that time to, like, I guess, go through normal dates and dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up deciding to live together, which obviously we knew was coming. But yeah, I just love the way that they show that whole scene. They meet Mary's parents unexpectedly, and Tim continues to have what I call foot and mouth disorder.
Oh yeah.
Always saying the wrong thing in the wrong moment. Like when he looks at the dad and he's just like, I don't remember what he says exactly. Something about oral sex.
Oh
Um,
yeah. It's like Tim lives here, but no oral sex.
just Donald Gleason is so adorably, like, just lanky and dorky. I love him. And
And
it's
then he
just the
says that he goes, "I'll be right back," and then just turns to the
yeah,
like he goes straight to the lunch. It's so good.
so good. Yeah, good classic foot and mouth disorder. Tim goes to a show with Rory, who's the guy he works with at the law firm, and he runs into Charlotte after years have passed now. I really don't like his behavior here. I feel like he's like immediately smitten by her again,
Yeah.
even though he's got someone great that he's living with. He doesn't even mention Mary. It takes all the way until walking her back to her hotel room for him to make the realization of like, oh, I'm going to go home and I'm going to propose right now. I realize in this moment right now that I want to marry this woman because I'm in front of this other woman that I used to be smitten with.
Yeah.
I don't love that. I'll be honest. It's not a good look for Tim. I don't think that he's a bad guy, but that whole thing was kind of didn't make him look very great. It was kind
No,
of
I agree.
selfish
I
to
agree.
wake her up in the middle of the night to propose.
I saw it as
Um,
like it like transported Tim back to
yeah.
when he was but and then it just made him realize like how much he's grown and like how much like he like
Yes.
it's what you said, like he wasn't in love with her, he was just infatuated by her and he realized that.
Yeah. No,
Um
I agree. Yeah, I think these are important lessons he had to learn in the first chunk of the movie because it really ends up like changing his perspective, which is a important part of growth,
yeah.
right? Like we're all hopefully grown from how we acted when we were in our early 20s, I would hope. So that's kind of the purpose of life. That's what happens to all of us. So in that sense, it's really relatable. But just watching it now, you know what I mean? Just kind of, I'm being nitpicky, but I think Tim definitely has some yellow flags, maybe not full red flags, but there's just, a couple things
Mhm.
that he's not perfect at. And then basically this section, I'm just ending off on after Mary agrees to marry him, they take a trip to his parents to visit the family and announce their engagement. I was going to stop here, but did you want me to keep going or do you have anything else to add? We've kind of been talking throughout the section.
I don't yeah, I think just keep going. Don't have anything
Okay.
specific. I'm always
Well,
gonna butt in. I'm a butt in sort of guy, you know.
I feel like we're always like that. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll give you the opportunity to add more, but we kind of already have been doing that. Okay, so
Great
they
apartment, sorry. Great apartment. It looked cool.
yes,
I like the layout of their apartment. It's very
very
adorable.
good apartment. Yeah, I
Also,
agree.
he just straight up moved in there. He, like, good on him. If she owns that apartment, his weekly rent just went down to zero.
Yeah, is she a writer? Is that kind of what we're supposed to? They don't really come out and say it, but
Oh, that's a good
she's got that
question.
manuscript, that later gets ruined by the kids. So I assume that she's a writer,
I thought she was like an editor.
maybe editor. Yeah, so she works in that type of field, though.
Yeah, yeah.
She might do really well for herself. Obviously, he works in law, so he clearly does well for himself too.
I just asked
Uh,
ChatGPT. He goes, yes, in About Time, Mary, played by Rachel McAdams, is a writer. She works as an editorial assistant at a publishing house, and later in the film, she becomes a published author. Her career is it gives me a whole paragraph. But yes, yes.
Super. Thank you, AI. Okay, so yeah, they visit her or his family, and they are having a nice meal with the family, and they announce that they're engaged. But not only that, but they're also pregnant, which I had
Ooh.
forgotten. Like, I guess I knew that they had kids in the movie, but I had
Mm.
like forgotten until I watched this scene. I was like, shit, that's right. They're pregnant. We learned that Kit Kat is struggling to keep a job. She's drinking more. She's living with her parents again. She's still on and off with the deadbeat boyfriend, Jimmy. Then we flash to the wedding day for Tim and Mary. It's pouring rain, worst weather I can possibly imagine for your wedding day. My wedding was hot as hell, but I'd rather that than rain and wind and having to trek through
It
the
would be an
city.
adorable photo though. The photo of them outside and
I
all
love
the
it.
winds going everywhere. I think that's awesome.
Oh, I love this scene. It's so great. I'm just thinking, like, as a bride, I
As
feel
a
like
whole day as well, yeah, it'd be a nightmare. But like that one moment's cool.
so such a great little moment, such a great like photo. I mean, obviously we don't get to see the final photo anywhere in the movie, but you can imagine that's a great photo to frame and put in your house.
Yeah.
I love that she wears that red dress. So iconic. I feel like I've never seen that anywhere else in a film or in real life. I feel like I always think of like Rachel McAdams. When I think of this movie, I think of her in that red dress with her hair up. Like that's the about time
Yeah.
outfit that I think of. They marry in the church where Tim's favorite song, El Mundo, plays in the background. I forget what the name of the group is, but I believe it's El Mundo is the name of the song. Um, just a funny little thing. Him and his dad have like this obsession with this record. It's brought up like multiple times in the movie,
The
but
song is no, that's not it.
it's okay. We don't. It's you don't gotta look it up. But it's a great. It basically like it's just kind of funny because the song doesn't really fit like a wedding. And obviously, like Mary even like kind of makes fun of him for his love for it. But I love that she lets him like have that be
Yeah.
the song because it's like it's his thing with his dad. And then like I already mentioned, the guests trek in the bad weather to the reception, and then this is where we get the best man speeches. So earlier,
Oh,
Mary
so
asked him
good.
to make a decision. Actually, it's kind of a funny little scene where she's like, "I'll take off a piece of clothing for every decision you make," and then he has to decide on his best man, and he's like, "Cannot decide." And then flash forward to the wedding, and all three of them go, and they're all horrible.
They're
So
all
it's like really
terrible.
he's which it's like if you're gonna go back in time to change something about your wedding, I feel like if it's a speech and it's your best man, that's
That's
kind of the
fine.
one thing where it's okay.
That's totally fine. If like one of them says something like they all do, like that, you're like, I really wish that my family didn't hear that. Totally good to, but also I would have straight like I was watching this because what we watch so many movies, I completely forget about movies sometimes. I'm like, why doesn't he just straight away pick the dad though? I thought that would be such a sure thing. His dad and him were so close all these years.
Yeah.
Like I got a friend of when's this coming out next week? He's proposing tomorrow. Shout out Marlo. Hopefully she says yes.
Congrats.
But no, she's she's definitely gonna say yes. But like I know for a fact that he'll ask his dad to be like. But I don't know. Maybe that's just Australian culture though. Like if we're that close with your like, because like when I get married, it's my brother. It's so easy. I've got one brother, and I'm like that's easy. Fucking chalk that up. And then, but like, yeah, like I would have thought that was an easy decision for him.
I don't know. I feel like most people I know, it's usually like a close friend or your longest friend. Like, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't even speak to the person who is my maid of honor now.
Oh,
Not
T.
really any tea. We just
We
kind of
fucking
lost
we fucking up a
connection.
bitch. We fucking her up. It's gonna-
But I feel like it does happen. But I think you're right. I think it is a little easier if you have a sibling. I don't have any sisters, so that wasn't like
Mm,
an easy, like, ooh, check this box for me. And Adam doesn't have any brothers. So yeah, neither one of us really had that. But I think you're right. I think it is less normal, but I feel like it's fine to have a parent if you're
yeah, I think it's
genuinely
totally fine.
oh,
Yeah.
like if you really have that relationship, which he does. But anyway, so yeah, his dad ends up being the fourth one. He comes in, does a fantastic job, but then like you mentioned earlier, he still wants for himself to go back because he's like, I should have said I love you. And then he gives this emotional speech about the only men he's ever loved, and he shouts out Uncle Desmond, and that like makes his entire life, which that comes up later too. And then he expresses his love for his son, and it's just I'm crying, and it's just a beautiful, touching moment. Um, Men get emotional; it's important,
Oh, I cried like a fucking baby during this film.
dude.
Towards the end, I was like, every scene it just kept getting worse and worse.
We were doing that thing where we were on separate couches. Me and my husband Adam were watching it, separate couches, have our own like blankies and everything. I don't hear him say anything for like a while. And then I don't say, I'm like quiet. And then I can tell he's getting emotional and I'm crying. I just start laughing. Like, so then I'm laugh crying and then he's laugh crying. It was the only way to get out of it because I
Yeah,
would have sat there sobbing for hours if I didn't start laughing. It's just that kind of movie. It just really hits you.
it
And we're going
does.
to get to the part that really, really hits you.
Yeah,
But
big time.
anyway, so very sweet scene where he expresses his love for his son. They welcome their first child, their daughter Posey. She's an adorable little redhead, and I just cannot handle it. She's so cute. Obviously, she doesn't have the red hair till later, but that's, spoiler alert. But I love how you can see how scared Tim is, like welcoming a child. This is like a big deal for him because now he knows he's welcomed a child. Like he can't go back. Like he can't go
That's
back.
it. That's right.
That's
Because
it.
he forgot about that until then.
Yeah, and I think he's also just scared shitless to become a parent because that's terrifying. But yeah, it's kind of like multifaceted there as to why he's so scared. But they begin their life, and he even expresses how suddenly time travel seems unnecessary because everything's so delightful. Even the moments where they have a fussy baby, or they're doing something chaotic on a train, trying to coordinate with their 6-month-old. It's like you're just kind of in the thick of it, so you don't even think about time travel. They have a birthday party for their daughter. I'm assuming it's like her first birthday.
Yeah.
We learned that Kit Kat is late, and that she's been drinking. So there's some worry there. She ends up in a car accident. That scene is brutal, by the way, when you see the car get hit. And she's in the hospital. And of course, Tim immediately goes back to stop the accident from happening, goes and picks her up, brings her to the party himself. And then he tells his sister about his ability. This is the first person he's told, and tells her that she's going to get her life on track by changing what happened on New Year's Eve all those years ago. Um, I really love that he cares for her so much,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure how I feel about all this intervening in people's lives. Like, as someone who has siblings, it's like, is it my choice to decide what my siblings do? Because what happens to you is what makes you who you are, right? So it's like
For
by
sure.
changing, but it's like I know he wants her to have a better life. It's a good thing.
But it's like it all comes down to that line. He goes, "There's a," I go where she goes, "Why are you helping this?" He goes, "Because there's a chance that I will lose you." And like
Yeah.
I think that's why. Because I don't think he would without it. But like we need to touch on Posey a bit more. Well, not Posey, sorry. Kit Kat. Because she's fucking amazing in this film of like the emotional range of the wedding night of when Uncle Desmond was talking to her. He goes, "You're next, Kit Kat," and she's like, "I don't think so, Uncle Desmond. Boys aren't too good." I was like, "Boys aren't that nice to me." Like, and that broke my heart when I heard that.
Mhm.
I was like, "Because she's such a sweet person."
She is, but and what I was going to say next is like she expresses to Tim, like, every family has a faller, and like that's me. Like I'm just the one who's supposed to screw up. And I think that's also super relatable. I do think in a lot of, families, you're always going to have someone who feels like they are constantly messing up or they're just like destined for failure. And I think she expresses that really genuinely in her acting, and it's really sad. Like it made me really sad because I was just like, I want to give her a big hug, and I want her to have a better life. I don't have an issue with Tim wanting to help her. I just thought I'd bring it up that
I
like
get it. Yeah, it's a good
intervening in
point.
someone's life, it's a big deal, and he learns that it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So obviously, what happens next is that they do go back, um, and she, basically is supposed to not meet Jimmy. Um, but this ends up that she is with his friend Jay instead. So it's like she doesn't meet Jimmy, but she ends up with another one of like not another one of his friends. Jimmy wasn't his friend, but she ends up with Jay, and her life seems better. They're all at the parents' house, and it's like,
We
okay.
like Jay. We like Jay.
Tim's like, I can return. Life is good. My sister's good. He has a son. He doesn't have Posey anymore. So then his father explains to him that in the timeline where his daughter exists, she gets in that accident. So you stop the accident, you change her whole trajectory of her life, your daughter doesn't exist. So he goes back and does not stop the accident from happening, but she never met Jimmy. So her life is still better. She just happens to have to deal with this, injury and hospital stay, where they stay with her obviously until like she's better. I like the like transitions of just like day and night, day and night. They're there. Mary and Tim are there
And they're like, "You
nonstop.
can
Like
go now." Nope. But that's a good
they,
point on what you're saying. They're like, he realized that they need to change their own lives.
yes.
You're a smart cookie, Ash.
I have some familial experience. I'll just
Oh.
say that. Uh,
You can
but
travel
I
through
do,
time.
yeah, right. All the women in my family. That's actually our secret power. Did you know?
Yeah, wow. That's fair enough. I'd get insanely rich off this power, by the way.
Right. I
Whereas
thought
the dad's like, "Oh, your grandfather or granduncle like went crazy, like trying to get a fortune." I was like, "No, no, no. I would like watch the Super Bowl, then go back a day
bet
and
on it.
put everything on it, and then do
Right.
the same thing for the next day. I would spend like 6 months of just being like, and then accumulate wealth, and then if it gets any lower, I just do the same thing. Like this is so easy. This is
Like I
so
don't want anything
easy.
in my life to be different. I still want like my friends, my family, my house, everything. I just want more money.
Yeah, I would literally, because you wouldn't change that much because you'd go back a day, right?
Right.
So you
Right.
wouldn't. Yeah, that's how I would do this. I would,
I get it.
and then
I
I
get
would focus on love after I become a billionaire.
No,
You know.
Tim is just a hopeless romantic. He's all about love. And for him, like he said, it was always going to be about love.
And I'm about
Um,
investments, Tim. I'm about investments.
I feel like it's not just romantic love either. Everything he does is out of love for the people in his life, like with Harry, with his sister, it's all kind of based around that. So anyways, I do love that she stays away from Jimmy. He hints at her, like, Jay's always had a crush on you. Like, maybe you should do
Instantly,
something with
her
it.
whole persona goes up as
Oh yeah.
well.
She's so happy. I love that. So that whole thing ends up working out really well. It's like you stopped her from meeting the deadbeat who's going to make her life really bad, but she still maybe had some drinking issues, still got in an accident, still needed to have that traumatic thing to kind of wake her up, but she didn't have everything in her life get fucked up, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So going back to Tim and Mary, they are now a family of four, and they go home to visit due to the dad being very ill with cancer that he confirms is from smoking. But he expresses to Tim he couldn't go back and change that because then he wouldn't have his kids. And he says, life is a mixed bag no matter who you are. And ain't that the truth? His dad lets him know that he knew about the cancer for a while, but he wanted more time. They have that nice chat where he gives him the secret to being happy, which I'm not going to be able to explain it in the beautiful way that Donald Gleason does in his voiceover, but essentially living each mundane day like you normally would, and then going back and doing each day a second time so that you can notice everything more. And the way this is visually shown,
So good.
so damn good. I'm just like, it's so true. We all get so caught up in the simplicity of ordinary life. You don't sometimes sit there and actually notice all the good stuff or all the little tiny things about the person you're with or about the environment you're in. And I feel like that second day really allows him to like appreciate everything. And I love the way that's shown. Um, and I think this is a nice turn of events for Tim. Like as a character, I started rooting even more for him because I'm like, okay, now he's starting to see how he can use his ability to appreciate life and cherish time and not try to manipulate time to necessarily just get what he wants. It's more about enjoying it and like really being present with it. And then I also can't recall exactly where it is. I think I kind of brought it up already, but I love when Uncle Desmond shares to Tim how happy he is
Oh, but
that
yeah,
his father expressed that he loves him.
it's like
Like
that was
that
my
made,
happiest day of my life. Yeah.
yeah, just the sweetest thing ever. And then Tim comes to his father on the day of the funeral because that's what they had discussed. And he's like, "Oh, that's today," and everyone
Oh,
says their goodbyes.
God.
I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not funny, but it is just kind of
But
like this little
it's
thing they
so
have to.
goddamn good.
It is.
This movie's
It's
a
it's sad.
five, Ash. This movie's a five.
It's sad to know that everybody has to mourn and say goodbye to dad, but Tim is kind of holding on to the fact that they get to continue to go back and spend time with each other for now.
For now.
Mary expresses a desire for a third baby, though, which is hard for Tim because this would mean officially giving up his dad once the baby is born. And Mary is 9 months pregnant. We flash forward in time. She's basically about to burst, is kind of what it seems like. And he goes to have one final visit with his dad where they play table tennis. And his dad tells him he has one more last place he wants to go. And I'm sobbing, and you're sobbing, and we're all sobbing. We flash to Tim as a young
For
boy
a
running down
quick walk.
side with his dad for just a little stroll on the beach. They're happy, they're enjoying life. It was simple. I'm just absolutely sobbing. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the meanest, toughest person alive. If you're not crying during this scene, don't talk to me.
Don't talk to her.
Don't. And then we flash to Tim's voiceover confirming that everyone has learned to get on without dad, although it wasn't easy. But him and Mary have a happy life with 3 kids. Dude, the scene when the oldest, Posey, like maybe it's just because I'm a redhead, so like I immediately think of myself, but just like watching this little like 8-year-old girl just give the sweetest little smile back at her dad, just going about her business. Oh, it just broke me. I don't even have kids. I don't know if I want kids, but that scene right there, I was like, maybe I do.
Yeah.
Maybe I want a kid. And even Kit Kat had a baby of her own with Jay, and her life is good. He confirms he doesn't use time travel anymore and just tries to enjoy each ordinary day in his ordinary life. We get an ending shot of Tim and Mary meeting up in the busy streets of London during just a normal day. That is about time. This movie fucked me up, first of all. Just gonna get that right off the kicker there. But I love the way it tackles like learning to accept life for what it is, dealing with loss, like how valuable your time is, all these like themes that are pretty present. But I think for me, like the best part is just how damn good the characters are, how
Yeah.
relatable they are, and how much it makes you think about your own life. So with that, give me your final thoughts, give me your score, anything else you want to add.
I've got two favorite quotes from this film, if you'll indulge me,
Good.
Ash.
Yes.
From Tim, where he says, "The thing about time travel is you can't go back and change the big things, but you can change the small things, and sometimes that's enough." Love it. And from
Mhm.
Tim's father, we're all traveling through time together every day of our lives. All we can do is all we can do is do our best to relish this remarkable ride. I fucked up that quote, but you get the essence. I think this entire film is perfect. I think it's a really unique take on a love story, and it's done to perfection. I think that every character is just so well thought out and lovely, even down to Harry, who's just such a salty bastard. I just I felt like when he turns up to fucking Posey's birthday and he goes, "I was promised free grog, free alcohol." It's like it's
There's
so
always somebody like that. I
free
fear I
drinks.
might be that person.
I love it. But yeah, the just everything about this film is just so goddamn good. It's a warm hug to me. This film, I think it's goddamn beautiful to watch. Yeah, I like that those final scenes of his father and like the final like ping pong match, and then the father realizes and goes, "This is it." He goes, "It's the third's about to come because he won't be able to come back for it." I think it's just oh man, it's so goddamn good. I loved it. I love this film. This film is a 5 out of 5 for me. One of my favorite romance films of all time. Could be my favorite romance film of all time. Could be. Could be. Ash.
You wouldn't be the only one. I'll be honest, like when I was going through Letterboxd, I was genuinely so happy to see how many mutuals I had, especially that were guys that give this movie 5 stars. Like I do feel like in the romance genre, this is going to be one where you have majority, not even majority, but just a lot more men liking it than other romance films. I don't know if it's like the combination of the sci-fi time travel with just the relationship with the dad. I feel like it is just one that's going to get everybody. Like I think it's going to get everyone emotional. It's just got those beats to it, and it also is about life and time, which we all experience as human beings. So there's something for everybody here. I give it 4.5. I personally think that my mild issues with the ethical dilemma of what he's doing in the beginning is always gonna just bring it down a little bit for me. I hate to say, but I don't know if it'll ever be 5 stars for me. But I still think 4.5 is brilliant. I mean, I still love it. The second, like the last hour really is like for me, like where the whole movie just like shines. Like the first chunk is almost like a rom-com with a sci-fi element, and the second chunk is just like this deep unpacking of just like life and time and how you look at your life. And it's so beautiful. I love it. Again, the score is just top notch. Acting, chemistry, everything is top tier. I really love spending time with these characters. And I just think it's a really unique film. I just don't think there's anything quite like this. Like romance, sci-fi, with comedy, with this amazing of a cast. I just don't think you're going to find it really anywhere else.
Oh, the cast is so stacked. It's so
So,
stacked.
so insane. Well, that is what we think of About Time. And before we get into our little game here that I'm going to have Harry do,
Uh oh.
for next week, watch Tenant, as we've already been talking about. We'll have our special guest. So look forward to that. That's going to be our episode that's releasing kind of like right around or after Valentine's Day. Don't know how that panned out, but if you're feeling romantic and you want to watch
Watch
Pattinson and
watch
Washington on screen,
Tenant.
watch
Yes.
Tenant. But okay, this game I have for you, I thought it'd be kind of fun to change it up. So I have the Box Office Mojo
Ooh.
highest lifetime grossing time travel films. And I was going to see how many of the top 10 that you could guess.
Time travel films.
These are specific and don't think like too like it's pretty broad of a genre, right? But we're talking like of all time. So you got to think like the big blockbusters, obviously, like what were the highest, or not high, not all of them, but just the top 10
Okay.
highest grossing.
Well, the first one
Um,
that comes to mind, like it just has a time travel element in it, right? Well, let's test it out. Avengers Endgame.
yeah, that's the number one,
Cool.
858 million. And I'll tell you what, number two is about 600 million less than that.
Really? So yeah, big jump.
Insane. So yes, that's a
Wow.
great point. These have elements of time travel. They're not necessarily all like pure across the board. The
Right.
entire story is focused on time travel, so that might make it a little trickier. But I thought
Hmm.
it'd be fun to see how many of these you could get. Honestly, I feel like
Well, I want to say Back to the
one of
Future because you say 600 less, and Back to the Future got like 200 something.
yeah, so Avengers Endgame is number one. Back to the Future is number five.
Okay. Oh, this is fun, Ash. Um,
It's because I'm going on Tyler's trivia soon, and I
you're
was
going
thinking about
on
box office, and I was like, you know what? I don't look at box office enough, so let's do it.
Days of Future Past.
Yes, that's number three.
Good. Um,
Killing it. Trying to think how many. I will say some of these, you know, well, I don't, never mind. I'll wait to say that comment unless you start struggling.
hmm. Um, See, I've got T2 in my mind, but like, how much money did that fucking make in the 90s? Terminator 2.
Yes, number seven.
Good. What have I got so
And,
far? I've got 1, 3, 5, 7.
yes, and T2 grossed 204 million and change.
Yeah, rad. Um,
Trying to think. Yeah, you got four out of this 10.
Back to the Future 2.
Yep, that's number 10.
Fuck. Oh, nice. I was just okay. Now
That's what I was
I'm
gonna say is like some of these are like multi-franchise, like the franchises are strong with this list.
okay. That's kind of where I'm tapping out. Time travel.
We can just go as long as you want, and then I can tell you the rest.
Hmm. How much money did Looper make? Probably not as much as fucking 110 mil. You said. Well, for Back to the Future 2? I'm trying to gauge of like what
Oh,
was
it
10.
was 118.
118.
Yeah. And that was number 10. And Terminator 2 was 204. And that was number 7.
Gotcha.
So you need
Um,
2, 4, 6, 8, and 9.
I don't think Back to the Future 3 would have made as much as Back to the Future 2.
No. The third one is number 16, though.
Well, that's pretty good.
All time.
I'm thinking Looper because 100 mils are hard to get over, but Looper.
Looper is 18.
Okay, so I'm in the right ballpark-ish, right?
And just for reference, About Time is number 41.
That's wild. Oh. Um,
Hmm.
what about Butterfly Effect?
No. Let's see
Damn.
what number is that. That's number 21.
Okay, is there any franchises that I've already mentioned that there's still stuff in there?
Yes, there is one more film from a franchise you've already mentioned.
Okay, it won't be Avengers because I don't think that anything else. X-Men, I don't think they time traveled in any other
I'm not even
way.
sure if you've seen this
I
movie
was
because
gonna
I'm,
say Deadpool Wolverine, but that's not time travel. That's multiverse travel, so it's different.
yeah,
Um, Terminator 3.
yes, Rise of the Machines is number
I
9.
have
One,
seen it. I have seen it. It's very average. I like it. It's not as bad as Salvation. Oh, is Salvation in there?
mm-mm.
Okay. Fuck, I'm actually going well. For off the top of my head, this is actually
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good.
no, with no preparation. Like you can guess a few more times if you want. And I can tell you the rest of the list, but some of these I were like they surprised me, so I would not have guessed them at all.
Hmm. Is there any hints, Ash? You got a hint for me? You got a hint for me?
Think about the 90s
Yeah.
and think about a comedian, a character comedian.
Character comedian in the 90s that time traveled.
Yep.
Do I have an ethnicity? Or is
He's
that
very
gonna?
Caucasian.
Oh, sorry. I'm like, is it American? Is it British?
Oh, sorry, you said ethnicity. I was
My bad. Yeah, no, you're right. I got that. Fucking, I got that wrong.
I mean, they're American made films, but this actor plays multiple characters in his films.
Austin Powers. Um, I know Gold Member got heaps. A Gold Member.
That's number 4. I was honestly
Fuck,
surprised to
nice.
see Austin Powers on this list. It grossed 213 million.
Then I'd say Spy Shagged Me would be the
Yeah.
next biggest.
That's the first 2 movies basically, right? Or is no, the Spy Who
There's
Shagged Me, is that the third one?
so it's Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, then
That's
Spy Who Shagged Me, then Gold Member.
I'm
Also,
shocked.
we need a new Austin Powers.
Yes, but also kind of weird that Goldmember did the best because I think that's the worst one.
It is, but it got brought because it was like co-starring Beyonce and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Beyonce at that time, she was like
She was
so popular.
enormous. Yeah, yeah.
The first
Um,
one's my favorite.
that's
Fun
kind of
fact, when I was in the
sorry.
hospital, I watched all 3 of those movies back to back in the same day. They were on like repeat. I watched all 3 of them 2 times in the same day.
They're great movies.
Such great
You got
comfort
6
movies.
logs right there for Letterboxd. There you go.
So great. Sorry, what did
I
you say?
think that's all I got. I can't think of
Okay.
anything else. I did pretty
So,
well.
no, you did. You got, I think, 7 out of 10.
Nice,
So, yeah,
nice.
number 1 is Endgame, and then a huge drop to number 2 is Star Trek,
Oh, the 2009. Oh, nice. Is that?
257 million. And
Oh,
then
yeah. I didn't ever thought of that as time travel. Yeah, wow.
I
That is.
honestly didn't even consider it's a lot of big blockbusters, a lot of franchises. So then X-Men Days of Future Past, Austin Powers and Goldmember, Back to the Future, Spy Who Shagged Me, Terminator 2, Men in Black 3 is number 8.
Fucking wild. Wow.
Yeah. And then
Oh
Terminator 3,
yeah.
Rise of the Machines, and Back to the Future Part 2. I'd like to shout out number 13, though. Barely made the list. Shout out Meet the Robinsons,
Oh, great
okay?
movie. Great movie. Yeah.
Dude, fucking love that movie.
Meet the Robinsons rules.
So good. So, anyways, that was just a fun little thing to try. Also, another Rachel McAdams time travel movie, The Time Traveler's Wife, grossed 63
Mm.
million. It's number 20. But that is our episode on About Time. That is the end of the box office. I don't know. Guess the list. I don't even know what you call this game.
Yeah.
Um,
Guess
but
the
thank you.
return. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't have a good name for the game, but we're
Oh,
gonna
come
do
on.
this again because it's fun. Um,
That's great fun.
But thank you for listening and let us know your thoughts on About Time. For next week, again, watch Tenet. Follow us on everything. But until next time, I'm Ash. That's Harry, and we'll see you at the movies.